So they say the culmination of the Brahma Viharas, the heavenly abodes, which are fundamentally, that there is kind of the loving kindness, there is the compassion, there's the sympathetic joy, and then the equanimity. And equanimity sometimes it's a little tricky because as a practice, in the 7 factors of awakening, it's in many of the lists, and not different because it's also something that may be even-mindedness. It means it brings kind of the wisdom factor to the heart and gives it its strength and stability so that we don't get lost in sometimes in metta or lost in the incredible world of politics or something. It's very it's a crazy world, and we can easily be caught by it in some way, And this is the thing that, in essence, kind of the power to somewhat see through in these higher emotions. And like in the Tibetan school, they start with equanimity as a fundamental practice, And again, sometimes I don't think of it as so different than the practice that we're doing itself. So it's not so different. But I'll read these are some of the equanimity phrases that are used. You are the heir, the owner of your karma. Your happiness and unhappiness depends upon your actions, not so much on my wishes for you. Whether I understand it or not, things are unfolding according to a lawful nature. All beings meet their joys and sorrows according to the lawful nature. Things are just as they are. May I accept things just as they are. May I be undisturbed by the comings and goings of events. That's really where all this kind of connects the heart and the practice. And this is the one, having my daughter live with me when she was, about 12. Wow, what a mess. And and I was traveling, and I hired somebody to come and take care of her, and oh my gosh, and they fought. It was like, oh my gosh, what have I gotten myself into? But I had my line. I will care for you, but I cannot keep you from suffering. I will care for you, but I cannot keep you from suffering. I wish you happiness, but cannot make your choices for you. No matter how I might wish things to be, otherwise things are as they are. No matter what I wish for you, things are as they are. So these are kind of traditional, but I like kind of, I wish you happiness, but cannot make your choices for you. It's a kind of a lovely part of equanimity. So these are kind of the parts of it, but I'm going to kind of give you a kind of a little more being practice of it. These are the traditional phrases that are used, and just to remember, because it's one of the difficulties with sometimes with the equanimity practice is that we put too much emphasis on the mind as the stabilizer, and so it can create kind of a laissez-faire or kind of a callousness or, everything's one, why should I care, kind of thing. And that's not really what equanimity is. It's actually, that's the shadow of what we look at. Because what we're looking at is the sensitivity of the heart. It's this ability to have that capacity, the power to see clearly sometimes in very difficult situations, and not fall into the drama of it, and still keep a really open heart, and this is the challenge of equanimity, of not kind of falling for the drama or pushing away and kind of getting kind of laissez-faire or calloused and what kind of dissociate or removed from the situation. So to do this, we're just going to start with just to feel your heart. And again, I love this. Just, you have such good hearts, and your capacity to kind of soften that. Shaib Nai in her poem of kindness, and of course, it's, as she says, you have to know loss to understand. But to know loss then is actually the precursor to the compassion. And for actions to happen without getting lost in the myriad feelings of, of sometimes the horror or the terrors of things, is to actually, with the sensitivity, to kind of bring this good heart, this kindness, into the sometimes difficult situation, And that is really the kind of the equanimity practice. I wish you happiness, but I cannot make your choices for you. I wish you happiness, but I cannot make your choices for you. And it's very helpful working with teens. I found it to be marvelous. It didn't really work for me too much, but I did the best I could with it, It was my daughter, so what do you want? And right after this, we're having dinner, so it's okay. So just take a moment, and I'd like you just to kind of feel your heart, and then I'd like you to imagine in your mind or bring to some difficulty that maybe someone around you has, and families are so complex, and whether it's in the family or whether it's someone at your work or somewhere in your past, that there is this possible thorn, and to just to bring it kind of in the imagination, to bring it into the foreground, And a lot of the Tibetan practice, they actually elicit feelings and then they apply these higher emotions to them. So essentially, that's what we're trying to do here, is we're bringing our imagination or the past memory to bear. Little last beat. And just bringing someone to mind, and if you can do that. Someone that, there's maybe some difficulty or something with. And then just to apply, that I wish you happiness, but I cannot make your choices for you. Or another one is just, it is the way it is, And in that there is the realization that, you're not there to change it. You're actually there to open your heart to the complexity or difficulty of the relationship or the situation. See, just try, apply. You are heir. You are the owner of your actions. Your happiness and unhappiness depend upon your actions, not upon my wishes for you. Whether I understand it or not, things are unfolding according to a lawful nature. Things are just as they are. And again, it's things are just as they are. But there's this, this heart that holds that kind of even-mindedness, but also it has to hold the compassion for the situation or the person, or the difficulty, or the whatever situation you've kind of called upon. And there is that kindness and metta with the compassion that can be of the heart that holds sometimes not easy situations, and the necessity to be able to no matter how I might wish things to be otherwise, things are as they are. And so it's no longer moving away. It is actually the sensitivity of kindness. And I'm hoping you don't have a difficult person in your life. That would be great. But even sometimes just from the past, my wish for you is to find peace. But I cannot make that or be that for you. Now, I'd like you just kind of to let go of the image or whatever that sometimes the difficult person or situation from the past, and just let go of that and bring yourself into this kind of presence here in your own heart, and just for you also to recognize that life, things are as they are, you know. And it's not to say that the heart is not open. It is really the practice of keeping the heart open, and yet sometimes not indulging in the complexities or dramas or the sense impressions, the enticing thoughts or sometimes images, that we hold all of it with this good heart and not need it to be otherwise. It is the way it is. And then just keeping the mind kind of resting in the heart, and this the power of the equanimity is ultimately it simply releases things. And when it's awareness of difficulty, it doesn't move away from it, but allows it to kind of inform without being a drama. But I wish you happiness, but cannot make your choices for you. And now just, you can kind of let go of everything and just sit in this natural heart. And this natural heart can hold the loving kindness, the metta. It can hold the compassion for oneself, for all the situations, for others. It also has the capacity to recognize sometimes just this simple truth of joy and the sympathetic joy for oneself and for others in their happiness, and that their happiness and good fortune can continue and even increase. May they never wane from it. And as we hold the metta and the compassion for the kind of the tears of the world. So we also are able to hold the stability of this power of equanimity, which has the power to hold and let go, to bring the wisdom factor directly to bear on sometimes the difficult job of helping others. May you be happy. May you be peaceful. May you be healthy in body and in heart and in mind. May you be free from any inner or outer harm. May you have ease of being. May you be free. And again, we do not do these practices for ourselves alone, but ultimately for the benefit of others. May we have this metta, may we have this compassion, this sympathetic joy, and this power of wisdom and equanimity and the truth of the good heart. May all beings everywhere be happy. So at 2:46 this morning, the moon reached its zenith. And it's usually about 48 hours either side. So we're going to be still in this wonderful Aquarius moon holding us right through to the end. So, good fortune.